The best way to approach cooking your holiday dinner is with an action plan. The best recipes are easy to prep and are done in minutes. One of my favorite dishes is a quick green bean casserole. And the best part is that I'm only using one pan to make it. And unlike most green bean casseroles that are a bit more fussy and compete for space in the oven, this casserole happens on the stovetop while the turkey's resting. This is a more streamlined approach to this recipe with a few make-ahead parts that we'll discuss as we go. So I'm starting with a 12-inch nonstick skillet, and I have inside of it 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And I'm gonna just light it over medium-high heat, and I'll know it's ready when it's smoking. But in the meantime, I'm gonna start with our first ingredient, shallots. These shallots are gonna take the place of the traditional crispy onion topping. So I'm just gonna thinly slice the shallot using a sharp knife and my claw hand. This recipe calls for 3 shallots thinly sliced. All right. To the shallots, I'm gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, and also 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I'm gonna toss this together. The flour is what's gonna add that crisp texture to the shallots when we fry it. It's important to make sure that they're all covered, so give it a good toss. Okay, so again, I have a 12-inch nonstick skillet here. We have 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and it has heated, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the shallots. Now what we're looking for the shallots to get golden and crisp, and that takes about 5 minutes. I mean, they smell amazing as soon as they hit the pan. You have to stir frequently just to make sure that all the shallots get a little bit of the oil and a lot of the heat. That's the key to crispy shallots. And they might not look crisp while they're cooking, but they'll definitely crisp up once they're out of the oil. And they'll be golden, so you'll know that they're ready. So as you can see, I have here my sheet tray ready with a triple fold layer of paper towels. It's really important to be ready for the shallots when they're done. You have to be ready to land them immediately so you don't overcook them. So it's been 5 minutes. These shallots are golden. They look amazing and they smell even better. I'm gonna get them out of the skillet, and this is all of the shallots and the oil onto the triple fold paper towel. Now what's really great is that this is a make-ahead moment in this recipe. You can make these shallots and store them for at least 3 days in an airtight container. I'm gonna wipe out this pan with paper towels, and we're going to move on with the rest of our recipe. This is green bean casserole, and we really wanted the main ingredient to shine. Traditional recipes use frozen, but we like the flavor and texture of fresh in this version. I have here 1½ pounds of green beans, and I'm just gonna trim the stem ends of the beans, just like that. So I'm gonna set these aside. So I have here in our 12-inch nonstick skillet, the same skillet that we cooked our shallots in, just wiped clean, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and I'm gonna heat it over medium-high heat. I have here 10 ounces of mushrooms. Now you might be asking, why are we using whole mushrooms? Because this recipe is traditionally made with mushroom soup. Well, we're sticking with mushrooms because we wanted to have some more texture and flavor. I'm just gonna take the stems out, like so. And you can use a paring knife to trim them if you need to, if you don't feel comfortable, but I popped a lot of mushroom stems in my life, so I'm good at it. You're just gonna take a moist or damp paper towel and wipe the tops and maybe the inside for any debris. These look great. And one of my tricks or hacks, I like to call them, for cutting mushrooms is to kind of stack them like that. And I'm gonna slice them 1/4 inch thick. Here we go. Okay, so I think our oil is ready. It's shimmering, so it's definitely ready. And we're gonna add the mushrooms and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now I'm just gonna cook them, stirring them occasionally until they're browned. It's gonna take about 8 minutes. Now you might be asking, why are we using cremini mushrooms? And it's because they have a big meaty flavor. You can easily sub for white button mushrooms here, but brown cremini mushrooms bring in textural contrast that gave this recipe an old school vibe. Even though it's seemingly small, the salt helps to draw out the mushroom's moisture. And you've got to get rid of the moisture before the mushrooms will even brown. And plus the salt adds flavor. All right, so it's been 8 minutes. These mushrooms are looking beautifully browned. I'm gonna turn off the heat and transfer it to a plate. It already smells like a full casserole in here. Great. All right, so I'm gonna wipe out the skillet and move on to sauteing our beans. Okay, so now that we've gotten all the pre-cooking out of the way, the rest of the recipe is gonna go pretty fast. So we're gonna melt 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter in the same trusty skillet that we've been cooking in the whole time. And I've just turned that over medium heat. And this is gonna move really quickly, so just be ready, steady yourself. And to the butter, I'm gonna add 1 finely chopped onion. Now I'm gonna cook these onions for about 2 minutes, and what we're looking for are for the edges to brown. Onion will build the base of flavor for our sauce. All right, so our onions are ready. It's been 2 minutes. They've browned around the edges. I'm just gonna stir in our 2 minced garlic cloves and 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. The flour is acting as a thickener here, and because we're starting to build the base of our sauce right into the vegetables, that plus flour to thicken. Everything's looking well incorporated. I'm just gonna add our green beans and toss in our thyme and 2 bay leaves. Now I'm just gonna start to give this a stir, try and get those onions wrapped around the green beans. That's really how we're gonna capture the flavor. And also the green beans are gonna cook right in the sauce. So to this, I'm gonna add the 3/4 cup of heavy cream and 3/4 cup of chicken broth. Heavy cream adds richness, but we didn't want the sauce to be too heavy and cover up all the flavor. So we added an equal amount of chicken broth for more balanced sauce. I'm gonna increase the heat to medium-high, and I'm gonna cover the beans. We'll steam the beans in the sauce until they're partly tender, but still crisp in the center. That should take about 4 minutes. It's been 4 minutes. I'm gonna give these beans a taste and just see how tender they are so far. So that's tender on the outside, but it's still a little crisp in the center. I'm gonna add the mushrooms, and I'm gonna continue to cook it uncovered for another 4 minutes. Just give it a good mix. Already the sauce is thickening. The beans are getting tender. It's smelling amazing. I'm gonna let this steam uncovered for another 4 minutes, because one of the problems with most green bean casseroles is that the beans get overcooked. Cooking it uncovered will let the sauce reduce to that velvety, creamy consistency, and that'll only take about 4 minutes. This sauce looks velvety and delicious. I'm gonna turn off the heat and just remove our aromatics, because we don't need them. They've already done their job. Here we go. And I'm gonna give these a taste because they may need a little salt and pepper. I'll take 1. Oh wow, the beans are tender and soft at the same time. How is that possible? But they do need a little salt and pepper. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit. I'll give it a stir. Oh, this is so beautiful. I can't wait to eat it. It smells amazing. And it was so fast. 1 pan. All right, here we go. Wow, you see how the sauce just clings to the beans, but it's not gloppy, it's very smooth. It looks beautiful. This is ready for a holiday table. All right, so here are shallots we made earlier and set aside. This is our crispy onion topping that is signature for green bean casserole, but made with shallots, so way better. We've elevated it. So while your oven may be full of other amazing side offerings, this quick green bean casserole can be made with no fuss in 1 pan right on your stovetop in the time that it takes your turkey to rest. How easy was that?
Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.